So this is the first video that I've done on a cryptocurrency. I'm going to start with Ripple because it's one of the ones I'm most familiar with. The one that I've been investing in lately for a while now. But the reasoning behind me investing in it and why I held on to it for literally months, which is a lifetime in the crypto world, is because of the following. If we take a look at the technology that is already established, it's already being tested. So it's not just simply a white paper that's being written up that could be implemented given the amount of funding that they need and the amount of time. This is already a well-funded company, well-established company that's implementing the blockchain, that's testing this technology out as we speak. So what's the technology in a nutshell? Basically, it allows for international wire transferring, or something that's comparable to wire transferring, to obviously occur through the blockchain and therefore occur in a quicker time for a lesser cost, lower operational fees, which obviously would be very attractive to the bank. So we have the security of the blockchain, we have the lower costs involved, we have a speed factor that's virtually incomparable as far as to the old way of doing things. Previously, as you know, when you're transferring money, if you've had any experience, transferring money from one country to another takes days in most cases. That's because there's several steps that are involved through the wire transfer transaction. So it's not simply wire transferring or a matter of wire transferring from one bank to another. There are several other banks that are involved before the money reaches its final destination, the final bank. Ripple can simply go from one bank to another, again, in a matter of seconds compared to days. So it far outmatches the present SWIFT system that banks use. So that's why I got into it initially. There were banks involved, even several months back. The list of banks has grown since then, but there were several of these banks already involved. RBC and I believe BMO was part of it, and Westpac. These are fairly large banks. Especially, I'm most familiar with the Canadian banks, RBC and BMO, so that attracted my attention. I was familiar with those. What other members here? But anyways, I knew that they had lots of funding behind them. I knew and was impressed by their research team and the spokespeople and other people involved. Now, that's why I originally started investing in it. That's why I held on to it for as long as I did. However, it didn't move. It was, if you look at the chart for Ripple over the time period that I held, which was this region here, from about, oh geez, goes farther back than this. This isn't really a fair, yeah, because I got it around here. I got it way back here. Anyways, I got it around the 20 to 27 cent mark, somewhere in there. So I held it for quite a long time, somewhere around months of June, July onwards. But it was, the point is it's basically this sort of research that allowed me to have the confidence to hold on to it. Now, I was expecting other news that would demonstrate the technology in action, and it came eventually. There was, first of all, a couple of things that started the uptick. Most recent uptick that happened in the last 2 weeks were the following. There was news out that Ripple was going to place 55 billion of its tokens of XRP into escrow, and it eventually did. So when that news came out, that provided Didn't provide much of an uptick right away, but that certainly provided a strong support level for the later uptick. There was also news that Ripple had come up with. Ripple had just instated or started up with a relationship with American Express. That news had come out. There was also other news that, and it's not mentioned here, it is, and I mentioned up somewhere around here in regards to the new exchanges. There was a rumor that was out that rumor was going to be adopted by one of the major exchanges in the US, Coinbase, and it looks like that's going to come to pass. And then the other piece of news that came out that I think probably was the main cause of the recent uptick, again, if we look at what kind of move it's made since, again, mid-December, that news had to do with the testing of the XRP token by some of the major banks in South Korea and Japan. And there was a little bit of other information that came out recently. There was a rumor that was out that these tests actually were successful. So that probably strengthened the currency further. Now, is there more news to come? I think so, because as other banks see the success, hopefully, of the token used by the South Korean and the Japanese banks, they'll also carry through with testing it and then implementing it. So I can definitely see a bright future for Ripple. It's gone through just a recent retracement. I mean, I'm not making any suggestions. You make up your own mind by doing your own research, but I don't think it's a bad time to buy in at. I haven't taken any Fibonacci levels to this, but you'll have to do your own technical analysis. I basically get more on, or I enter my trades and base my investments more on whatever the recent news was. The fact that it's made a retracement means that, first of all, we're in holiday season, so people are, I think, selling for tax purposes at the end of the year. They're also just basically collecting whatever profits they've made. The old saying, buy on rumor and sell on fact. So the news, I think, of the banks testing the Ripple token has provided a bit of an uptick, and then people are just taking their profit on it. So we'll see what the future holds for Ripple, but again, that depends upon whether future tests prove to be successful. So a lot is riding on these tests by the Japanese and the South Koreans. Anyways, I hope that provided a little bit of insight, and I'll be commenting more on other tokens in the future. Take care and have a happy New Year.